buhay o kabiguan, ng ligaya o lungkot. Kaya marapat lamang na tanggapin si Jesus bilang tagapagligtas at Panginoon. At matapos yun ay panariwain ang katapatan at paglapit sa Kanya bawat araw o day by day. Ang day by day ay naglalayong umalalay sa pang-araw-araw na pamumuhay. Narito po si Kuya Ed Lapis sa mensaheng pinamagatang All in the Family.
Kung kailangan ng sino man ng lesson para sa family, Bible ang pinakamaraming mga maituturo sa mga pamilya and how to deal with each other. Ang ating pag-aaral ngayon, pinamagatan natin, All in the Family, Solomonic Wisdom 1, dahil magkakaroon tayo ng mga pag-aaral ng karunungan ni Solomon. Salamat Ama dahil kayo po ay pinagmumulan ng karunungan na aming pinakikinabangan. Dalangin namin ngayon na mabuksan ang aming isip sa marami pang mga uri ng karunungan na maaari niyong ituro sa amin. Forgive us our sins, cleanse us from all our unrighteous deeds and thoughts. And may you enable us, O God, to understand your message for us today. Give us a simple message that will become very useful in our daily life so we could be more righteous, we could be better persons, and we could glorify you more. Father, cleanse our hearts, strengthen our bodies, heal our diseases, make us complete people. Father, we ask you in the name of your Son, Jesus. 1 Kings 1:1-4. King David was now an old man, and he always felt cold, even under a lot of blankets. His officials said, "Your Majesty, we will look for a young woman to take care of you. She can lie down beside you and keep you warm." They looked everywhere in Israel until they found a very beautiful young woman named Abishag, who lived in the town of Shunem. They brought her to David, and she took care of him. Huwag na kayong masyak sa ganun nilang kostumbre. This is almost 3,000 years ago. Ang hari ay matanda na, laging giniginaw, at hindi siya mapainit ng anumang mga kumot. Kaya kumuha sila ng isang magandang dalagita o dalaga. At siya ang kasiping niyang natutulog para painitin ang katawan ng hari with body heat. And this Abishag took care of the very old David. 1 Kings 1:5-6. Adonijah was the son of David and Haggith. He was Absalom's younger brother and was very handsome. One day, Adonijah started bragging, "I'm going to make myself king." So he got some chariots and horses, and he hired 50 men as bodyguards. David did not want to hurt his feelings, so he never asked Adonijah why he was doing these things. Alam niyo naman si David, may iba't ibang asawa, at dito sa kanyang asawang si Haggith, meron siyang anak na si Adonijah, na hindi naman niya ina-appoint na king, ay biglang naisipan isang araw na i-declare ang sarili niya na king. Nagbayad pa ng mga bodyguard para magmukha talaga siyang kingly, at hindi naman siya pinipigil ng tatay niya dahil baka daw sumama ang loob. David had become indulgent and did not impose discipline or necessary correction, even though this was a very grave mistake that his son was doing. He was usurping the authority of the king. He was appointing himself as king, hindi pa naman siya ina-appoint. Isang napakalaking lesson sa atin sa pamilya, lalo sa pagpapalaki ng mga anak. Ang tao parang puno, parang halaman. Habang may space, lalaki ang sanga niyan, lalabay, mag-spread out. A plant will take up any space that's available. At ganon din ang tao. Pag hindi mo pinigilan, hindi mo nilagyan ng hangganan, hindi mo nilagyan ng disiplina, sasakupin niya maging ang hindi kanya. Aariin niya ang hindi kanya, aabuso siya. Kaya dapat talaga may disiplina. Hindi pwede ang bata, hayaan mo lang bantayan ang sarili niya. Aabuso at aabuso pag walang discipline. At ito ang nangyayari dito kay Adonijah. Bagamat hindi na siya bata, pero lumaki siguro siyang ganon, hindi pinipigil. Dahil baka bumaba ang self-esteem o self-image na usong-uso sa West. Hindi na pinipigil ang mga bata dahil sa self-esteem na yan, naglalakihan tuloy ng mga walang bait. 1 Kings 1:7. Adonijah met with Joab, the son of Zeruiah, and Abiathar, the priest, and asked them that they would help him become king. Both of them agreed to help. Hindi siya sa tatay niya humingi ng tulong, kundi doon sa isang strongman, si Zeruiah, at si Abiathar na priest para talagang magmukhang legitimate ang ginagawa niya. Kailangan may priest, may anointing, but he was doing this behind the king's back. So he needed legitimizers, he needed deodorizers. At lahat ng mga illegitimate regimes, lahat ng mga power grabbers, kailangan nila yan, legitimizer. Kailangan may chief justice doon, kailangan may bishop doon, para magmukhang tama ang ginagawa nila, kahit mali. Kahit nagpa-power grab ang mga tao, pag isuswerin na sila, kailangan may chief justice o kahit sinong justice na lang dyan. At kailangan may mga bishop para mukhang tama ang ginagawa. Kahit sa bansa natin, nangyayari yan. 1 Kings 1:8. But Zadok the priest, Benaiah, Nathan the prophet, Shimei, Ray, and David's bodyguards all refused. So the people who were close to the king refused to participate in this charade. They refused to join the circus. Meron silang paninindigan, and obviously now there was going to be division in the kingdom. 1 Kings 1:9-10. Adonijah invited his brothers and David's officials from Judah to go with him to Crawling Rock, where he sacrificed some sheep, cattle, and fat calves. But he did not invite Nathan, Benaiah, David's bodyguards, or his own brother Solomon. So itong nangaagaw ng trono, hindi naman niya inimbita yung alam niyang hindi niya kapanalig. Ang niyaya lang niya yung mga konsentidor sa kanya. And to further cloak his power grab with a sense of legitimacy, naglagay pa siya ng mga offerings, mga sacrifices. 1 Kings 1:11-14. When Nathan heard what had happened, he asked Bathsheba, Solomon's mother, o ibang wife naman ito, si Bathsheba, nanay ni Solomon. So si Solomon at saka si Adonijah, half-brothers. Have you heard that Adonijah, the son of Haggith, has made himself king? But David doesn't know a thing about it. You and your son Solomon will be killed unless you do what I tell you. Go, say to David, you promised me that Solomon would be the next king. So why is Adonijah now king? While you are still talking to David, I'll come in and tell him that everything you said is true. So the advisor of the king, the prophet Nathan, went to Bathsheba because he knew that David wanted Bathsheba's son, Solomon, to be king. At sabi niya, pumunta ka sa king, sabihin mo yung nangyayari, at bibigyan kita ng follow-up, susuportahan kita. Susunod ako. So yun nga ang nangyari. She obeyed that very sound counsel. 1 Kings 1:15-21. Meanwhile, David was in his bedroom where Abishag was taking care of him because he was so old. Bathsheba went in and bowed down. What can I do for you? David asked. Bathsheba answered, Your Majesty, you promised me in the name of our Lord your God that my son Solomon would be the next king. But Adonijah had already been made king and you didn't know anything about it. Your Majesty, everyone in Israel is waiting for you to announce who will be the next king. If you don't, they will say that Solomon and I rebelled. They will treat us like criminals and kill us as soon as you die. Alam na alam nitong si Bathsheba ang mangyayari sa kanila mag-ina pag natuloy maging hari si Adonijah at namatay na si David. Kaya kailangan kumilos sila agad. 1 Kings 1, 22-24. Just then, Nathan the prophet arrived. Someone told David he was there, and Nathan came in. He bowed with his face to the ground and said, "Your Majesty, did you say that Adonijah would be king?" Ang ganda ng pasok niya, patanong. Sinabi niyo ba na magiging hari talaga siya? It was a very diplomatic entry. A question, very polite. Hindi siya nagsabing, hindi niyo alam nangyayaring ganito, ganyan. Because he was talking to the king. Remember, when you talk to the king or any form of a king or a leader or somebody important, do not tell, do not preempt, and do not outwit kings. Kahit ang mga Chinese emperors nung araw, pag may mga advisor sila, the advisor does not give perfect advice. Nilalagyan niya ng konting mali ang ina-advise niya, konting pangit. Para yung emperor, pupunahin yung pangit at mali, i-correct niya, magmumukha ngayon yung emperor na matalino at hindi pinangunahan lang. Alam niyo yung mga nangunguna sa mga leader, yung lagi ka nagmamagaling, lagi mong pinuprove na alam mo, nawawala ka sa court, nalalayo ka sa kusina. Kailangan marunong kang magpahalaga doon sa mahalagang tao na hindi pag nag-offer ka, nag-suggest ka, ang galing-galing na agad, wala na siyang maidagdag, mayayamot lang siya sa'yo. Walang natutuwa sa mga sobrang nagagaling-galingan. Kaya pagka ang kaharap mo, makapangyarihan, pakita mo magaling ka, na ibig sabihin meron kang saysay, pero wag sobra. Hayaan mo siyang may ma-correct, may maituwid na kapraso dito, kapraso doon, para yung ego niya bilang leader, hindi naman masaktan. At yun ang pasok nitong si Nathan. Did you say that? Patanong. 1 Kings 1:27. Did you say they could do this without telling the rest of us who would be the next king? So another form of question. Verses 28-30. David said, "Tell Bathsheba to come here." She came and stood in front of him. So obviously, when the prophet arrived, Bathsheba left. And then Bathsheba was called again. Then he said, "The living Lord God of Israel has kept me safe. And so today I will keep the promise I made to you in his name. Solomon will be the next king." What is one major lesson here, brothers and sisters? Remind people of their promises. Kailangan ipaalala. Collect promises made to you. Kaya mga wives, kung nakakalimot na yung mga husbands sa sinumpaan nila sa harap ng altar, ipaalala nyo. Ganon din yung mga husbands. Meron tayong mga commitment sa isa't isa. Pag nakakalimot, ipaalala nyo, huwag nyo hayaang matagal na nalilimutan. Sabi nga ng matatanda, ang paalala ay gamot sa taong nakalilimot. At para naman sa ating lahat, remember and keep your promises. Promises are sacred. Break promises only if suddenly you realize that the execution could be wicked or could be very bad to some parties. So dun ka palang pwedeng umatras. Pero ang pangako ay pangako. Dapat yan tinutupad. 1 Kings 1:32-35. Then David said, "Tell Zadok, Nathan, and Benaiah to come here." When they arrived, he told them, "Take along some of my officials and have Solomon ride my own mule to Gihon Spring. When you get there, Zadok and Nathan will make Solomon the new king of Israel. Then after the ceremony is over, have someone blow a trumpet and tell everyone to shout, 'Long live King Solomon.' Bring him back here and he will take my place as king. He is the one I have chosen to rule Israel and Judah. So malinaw ang instruction. Tabunan yung ginawa ng kanyang kapatid. In a more elegant and more official way, declare Solomon king. So verses 38 to 40, Zadok, Nathan, and Benaiah left and took along the two groups of David's special bodyguards. So hindi upahan na katulad ng hinire nitong kapatid niya, ito'y talagang special bodyguard si David. It will make the event very, very official. Solomon rode on David's personal mule as they led him to Gihon Spring. Zadok the priest brought some olive oil from the sacred tent and poured it on Solomon's head to show that he was now king. A trumpet was blown and everyone shouted, "Long live King Solomon!" Then they played flutes and celebrated as they followed Solomon back to Jerusalem. They made so much noise that the ground shook. At alam nyo kasunod, nabalitaan agad-agad nung kabilang grupo ang nagaganap. Sila pa naman yung nagdiriwang dahil dineclare nila itong si Adonijah na hari. Pero nabalitaan nila na i-declare si Solomon na hari at yun ang talagang declaration coming from the palace. So natakot sila. Verse 49 to 53, Adonijah's guests shook with fear when they heard this news, and they left as fast as they could. Isang major lesson agad mga kapatid sa atin, do not take sides too quickly. Ang aga-aga nila na sumali dito kay Adonijah, nakipagdiwang, yung pala magtatakbuhan sila sa takot nung malaman nila na i-declare si Solomon na king dahil sila ang mapag-iinitan ng palasyo. Especially in matters of public interest, do not always show what's in your heart. Do not always show in public your political sentiments because political climates change and you might find yourself going against the strong winds. Hindi ka dapat agad-agad na nagpapahalata sa ganyang mga bagay. 1 Kings 1, 50 to 53. Adonijah himself was afraid of what Solomon might do to him. So he ran to the sacred tent and grabbed hold of the corners of the altar for protection. Someone told Solomon, Adonijah is afraid of you and is holding onto the corners of the altar. He wants you to promise that you won't kill him. Solomon answered, if Adonijah doesn't cause any trouble, I won't hurt him. But if he does, I'll have him killed. Marunong talaga tong si Solomon eh. Nung nangunyapit yung kanyang kapatid doon sa gilid ng altar, ibig sabihin kumukuha siya ng protection from God. At pag may nangunyapit doon, hindi mo siya pwedeng tanggalin doon. Merong ganyan na sophisticated tool ang Israel. Meron sila mga cities of refuge. If the government is against you or the king is after you, you go to that city of refuge, nobody can touch you. Meron silang mga ganong proteksyon para sa mga mahihina o yung mga ang kalaban sobrang malalakas. So humawak doon sa altar si Adonijah at sabi, bibitaw lang ako dito pag pinangakuan ako ni Solomon na hindi niya ako papatayin. Nakarating kay Solomon ng balita at sabi niya, kung hindi siya gagawa ng gulo, hindi ko siya papatayin. Pero oras na gumawa siya ng gulo, papatayin ko siya. Verse 53, then he sent someone to the altar to get Adonijah. After Adonijah came and bowed, Solomon said, Adonijah, go home. So Solomon gives conditional assurance. Yan ang isang lesson natin, tandaan nyo to. If and only if. Sabi niya, kung hindi ka gagawa ng gulo, hindi kita papatayin. Beware of giving a blanket authority, a blanket yes or no, a blanket promise to anyone. Huwag kayong nangangako ng ganun lang. Pag kami nagsabi sa iyo, mamahalin mo ba ako habang buhay, huwag mo sabihin agad, yes, promise. Sabihin mo agad, kung mamahalin mo rin ako. Meron ka dapat kondisyon para hindi ka mapako. Pag sinabi ng isang tao na, tutulungan mo ba ako kahit anong mangyari? Oo, tutulungan kita kung hindi ka gagawa ng masama. Kung hindi ikakapahamak ng pamilya ko ang pagtulong ko sa iyo. Laging may if. Mahirap matrap. Mahirap yung makulong ka sa sinabi mo tapos sabihin ng tao, promise mo, di ba? Promise mo. So si Kulasisi, sasabihin kay Mr., promise mo, ibabahay mo ako. Buhay pa yung asawa ko. If, dapat. No? Yung mga ganon. Hindi yung wala man lang if. So, nakauwi ng maluwalhati yung Adonijah na to. Mga kapatid, you must have a way out of unforeseen entrapments. Dahil hindi mo hawak ang bukas, hindi mo matiyak kung ano magagawa. Ang mangyayari, do not be too quick to commit. Do not give promises to wily people. Yung mga masyadong wise, masyadong mautak ng lalamang, huwag ka nagbibigay ng pangako sa mga ganyan. Kuminsan, pinapapangako ka ng parang ang liit-liit na bagay, ang dali-dali, pero hindi mo alam, meron palang trap, may patibong. And then you paint yourself into a corner. And then, napapasubo ka tuloy. Kaya, ano man ang gagawin mong commitment, isipin mo na baka dumating ang panahon, kailangan mong makatakas, kailangan mong makaligtas sa commitment na yun, dapat meron kang backdoor available sa usapan. May if. Don't just make a promise. 1 Kings 2, 1-3. Not long before David died, he told Solomon, "My son, I will soon die, as everyone must." Very factual, very business-like ang dealing niya with death. "But I want you to be strong and brave. Do what the Lord your God commands and follow His teachings. Obey everything written in the law of Moses, then you will be a success, no matter what you do or where you go." So ito na ang bilin ng tatay na sa kabilang buhay, be strong. It is not always physical. Ang leader dapat strong siya intellectually, mentally, emotionally, because leadership is about making decisions. At dapat ang mga anak natin, pag pinapalaki natin, we teach them to be strong. Hindi mga marupok ang puso, mahihina ang loob, madaling umatras sa hirap. Kailangan tinitrain silang maging matapang. Therefore, bibigyan mo ng pagkakataon na magpasya, maging matapang. Give them opportunities to do something and to commit mistakes so they learn. Because when you're overprotective, you will produce weaklings, mga lampa, mga walang desisyon, mga mahihina ang loob, mga walang diskarte sa buhay. At usually, yan ang napoproduce ng mga very strong mothers. Many very strong mothers produce very weak sons. Kasi lagi na lang sila ang nasusunod. Laging sila ang may gagawin. Sila ang kikilos para tama. O para madali, ako na lang gagawa, etc. etc. Nadodominate yung mga anak. And you know, you don't have to look far. In our country, we have many, many, many strong women. And look at the sons. Tingnan nyo ang mga napupudos natin ng mga anak na lalaki. Karamihan, yung mga anak na babae ang strong. Kaya ang tanda-tanda na, humihingi pa ng pang-load. Ang tanda-tanda na, wala pang hanap buhay. Mami, pengeng pang-load. Nung tingnan mo, 50 anyos na pala. Mag-aasawa, hindi mapakain ng asawa, hindi mapaaral ang anak. Wala nang hanap buhay, mambababae pa. Magda-drugs pa, maglalasing pa, may bisyo pa, hindi naman ma-afford ang sariling bisyo. We produce so many weak sons in this country. Na later on, pag nag-asawa, mapoproblema na naman yung babae. Pag namroblema yung babae, dahil pinalaki naman siyang strong ng nanay niya, dahil mga babae nga lagi ang bibigyan ng mga assignment ng ganyan, Mapipilitan na naman yung babae to be the strong one. Lalong magiging weak na naman yung husband. At siyempre, itong babae ito magpoproduce naman mga weak sons, paulit-ulit. Pag sinuri niyo mga problema ng ating lipunan, many of them are results of us producing weak sons. Malalaki katawan, pero mga mahihina loob. Makikita nyo, pag ang pamilya may kailangan, sinong mangungutang? Ang babae. Sinong gagawa ng paraan? Si babae. Most of the time, hindi naman lagi. So, kailangan mag-produce tayo ng strong sons. Strong daughters too. Train them. Give them responsibilities. And punish them for wrongdoing. Kasi parang halaman yan, pagka walang pumipigil, lalaki yung sanga niya everywhere, kahit hindi kanya kakainin pag nasa mesa. Kahit hindi niya sapatos isusuot pag gusto niyang isuot. Kahit hindi niya kinita, gusto niyang gastusin. Masaklap talaga ang bunga ng maling paglingap ng mga magulang. So Solomon, sa verses 5 to 6, sabi ng kanyang tatay, Solomon, don't forget what Joab did to me. Punish him in the way you think best. So tinuturuan ni David yung anak niya, punish the wicked. Like weeds, like vines, they will expand their territory if you don't cut them. Iba siyempre, pag leader ka, hindi mo pwedeng sabi ng Diyos, kailangan mabait. A leader has official duties. You must reward the good and punish the wicked. At ganyan din sa mga magulang, pag hindi kayo marunong magparusa ng anak na mali ang ginagawa, pag hindi tayo marunong magbigay ng gantimpala doon sa matama ang ginagawa, malilito sila. Hindi magiging malinaw kung paano sila mamumuhay. 1 Kings 2, 7-9, the sons of Barzillai help me. Be kind to them and let them eat at your table. Be sure to do something about Shimei. Punish him. So David was teaching his son who would be king to really value justice. And justice says, punish the bad, reward the good. Tuwing walang disiplina, we don't punish wrongdoing, there will be chaos. Tingnan niyo sa ating bayan. Hindi hinuhuli yung mga nagja-jaywalking, hindi nahuhuli yung mga nagtitinda na lang kahit saan nila maibigan, nagtatayo ng bahay kahit saan nila maisipan, ang gulo-gulo tuloy ng lipunan. Tapos nagtataka yung iba, bakit po ang mga Pilipino pag nasa abroad behave? Paano? Hinuhuli sila doon. They will be punished, they will be fined. Dito nakakalusot, kaya nagpapalusot. Again, yung concept ng sanga, may pwedeng puntahan, di pupunta doon for personal benefit. So yan ang turo ni David. Alam nyo, si Solomon, hindi lang basta yan, naging matalino. Matalino rin kasing magulang. Malaki ang pananagutan ng magulang to raise up intelligent children. Dapat marunong kang sumagot ng tama. Marunong ka magtanong, marunong ka magdisiplina. So you raise quality children. So si Solomon, naging hari nung namatay si David. 1 Kings 2:13. One day, Adonijah went to see Bathsheba, Solomon's mother, and she asked, is this a friendly visit? Itong nangaagaw ng throne, who declared himself king without authority, pumunta dito sa nanay ni King Solomon. Ito namang nanay, ang tanong, friendly visit ba yan? Kasi nga, may bad record na nga itong Adonijah na to. Kung bad visit ba yun, sasabihin ba niyang bad? Siyempre, hindi. It was not a good question. 1 Kings 2:13-16. Yes, thou, friendly visit. I just want to talk with you. All right, she told him, go ahead. You know that I was king for a little while. Talagang binanggit pa niya, kahit hindi naman talaga siya naging king. It was really a few minutes that he was a fake king. Adonijah replied, and everyone in Israel accepted me as the ruler. Of course, it's not true. Ang konting-konting nagsupport sa kanya. But the Lord wanted my brother to be king, so now things have changed. Would you do me a favor? May kailangan pala siyang favor. Kaya ipinaalala niya mo ng, alam mo, once upon a time, I was king naman. Therefore, I'm entitled to a favor, at least from you. Yun ang gusto niyang palabasin. Papayag ba naman itong nanay ni Solomon or not? 1 Kings 2:16-17. What do you want? Bathsheba asked. Please ask Solomon to let me marry Bishag. He won't say no to you. Remember Bishag? Yung magandang dalaga na pinatatabi nila sa hari para painitin ang kanyang katawan dahil ginaw na ginaw? Sabi nitong si half-brother, pwede ba humingi sa'yo ng konting favor? Stepmother? Sabihin mo naman sa kapatid ko na, king, payagan akong pakasalan si Abishag. Hindi naman yun hindi sa'yo eh. Sabi nitong si Bolero. It was a very suspicious request. And all the more dangerous because it's accompanied by flattery. May bola. Naranasan nyo na ba yun sa buhay nyo? Nanay kayo ng mayor, asawa kayo ng manager, nanay kayo ng pulis o ng kung sino, merong may kailangan lalapit sa inyo, ilapit mo naman ako sa anak mo o asawa mo o tatay mo, hindi ka naman hihindihan nun eh. Palakpak naman yung tenga mo na ganyan dahil nabola ka na, meron ka naman palang influence and power. Papayag kaya ang nanay or not? 1 Kings 2:18. All right, she said, I'll ask him. Yun ang isang problema. When you say yes very quickly, sometimes hindi mo alam kung ano yung iniyayasan mo. Mukhang sugar-coated pill, poison pala. Yung pala, may masamang element yun na hindi mo pa alam. You know, a very quick yes is always dangerous to give. Pag may nagre-request sa inyo, lalo may kasamang bola, dapat ang sagot nyo muna, I will say. I'll think about it. Pag mimitingan muna namin ang barangay, ipananalangin ko muna, ganun, huwag sagot ng sagot. Lalo pag mukhang wala namang kwenta. Kasi lahat naman ng nandadaya, mukhang wala namang kwenta. Kasi kung ipapakita na lang may kwenta, di hindi ka madadaya. So dapat maingat ka na. Flattered, the clueless woman would bring the treacherous request to her son. Those who can't go to the king, go through the king's mother. Maraming tao walang access doon sa decision maker, dadaan doon sa mga malalapit. Family lesson, mga kapatid. Kung meron kayong kamag-anak, miyembro ng inyong pamilya na makapangyarihan, sikat, mayaman, may impluensya, huwag niyong hayaan ang sarili niyo na maging pintuan na dadaanan ng kung sino-sino para siya mapasok. People who normally don't have access, the important person, will use you as a bridge, as a door to get to the important person. Huwag kayong magyayabang. Oo, pinsan ko talaga yung si Mayor. Hayaan mo akong bahala sa'yo. Yung kasi yung ego mo, yung yabang mo, mapatunayan mo lang na may magagawa ka. Ang gagamitin mo ngayon, yung kamag-anak mo, siya ngayon ang ipapatalo mo, siya ang ipapahamak mo para lang pagbigyan mo yung kung sino na nambobola sa'yo. It happens. Kaya maraming napapahamak na mga tao, kahit government officials, kinokorrupt sila ng mga kamag-anak, ng mga nanay, ng mga tatay, ng mga kapatid. Ang tinutuloy mong pulis, tatawagan ka ng pinsan mo, huy, pinsan, ibalato manuhan sa akin yung anak na kumpare ko, nakakulong dyan eh. So, ginagamit nila yung connection nila dun sa makapangyarihan in a wrong way. Dapat nga pag may lumapit sa'yo, sabi mo, ay, pinsan nga ako ng pulis. Kaya nga dapat ko siyang tulungan na maging matino at maayos. Bakit mo ako gagamitin para i-corrupt siya? You must protect your relative from such abuses and misuse. Hindi yung sasama ka pa doon sa mga user para baka ipahamak pa o i-corrupt yung sarili mong kapatid o kamag-anak. Ito ngayon ang gagawin itong nanay na to, umuo agad. Hindi natin alam kung may dalang regalo itong humihiling. Pero alam natin, binuhala siya. He cannot say no to you. Papatunayan yan? Of course not. Sige, papatunayan natin yan. Mga bola. 1 Kings 2:19. When Bathsheba went to see Solomon, he stood up to meet her, then bowed low. He sat back down and had another throne brought in, so his mother could sit at his right side. Hindi kayo pwedeng basta-basta pumapasok sa royal court. If the king is not calling you, you cannot go there. But this is the mother. She goes to the royal court. And what does the king do? The king rises and bows low to his mother. Sa ganda ng asal ni Solomon sa kanyang nanay, dapat nag-isip-isip yung nanay, ang bait-bait ng anak ko, ginagalang ako. Bakit ko nga ba siya guguluhin dahil sa request nitong traidor na taong ito? Bakit ako pumapasok dito sa king para hingin ko para sa kanya yung gusto nitong taong magulo? I should be protecting this king, but I'm allowing myself to be used. The king honored her. Verse 20. Bathsheba sat down and then asked, "Would you do me a small favor?" Eto na naman yung would you do me a small favor. Mag-ingat kayo sa mga ganyan ha, yung alam mo may hihingin sana ako sa iyong favor eh. Ano yon? Ganun dapat ang sagot, no? Anong favor yon? Medyo nakakunot ka dapat ng konti para medyo ma-discourage. Hindi yung ano yon? Parang yes, okay, use me as a doormat, it's okay. Yung mga favor na yan, dangerous yan. Lalo pag sinabing small. Huwag kayong maniwala. 1 Kings 2:20, Solomon replied, "Mother, just tell me what you want, and I will do it." Dahil nanay niya yung nandun, Solomon let his guards down. Hindi na siya defensive kasi nanay niya. Oops, nag-commit ang matalinong Solomon. But at least to someone dear and close and trusted. But does this woman deserve the trust? Never mind that she's the mother. 1 Kings 2:21, "Allow your brother Adonijah to marry Bishag," she answered. Solomon said, "What? Let my older brother marry Abishag? You may as well ask me to let him rule the kingdom." So, in other words, binawi bigla ni Solomon yung yes niya. Sabi niya, hinihiling nyo na payagan ko yung kapatid kong nakakatanda na pakasalan si Abishag. Para nyo na rin hiniling sa akin na ibigay ko na sa kanya ang trono. Siya na ang gawin nating hari. So it's a no. Ano naman kaya? Bakit? Ano naman ka-big time tong Abishag na to? Abishag was the king's body warmer, remember? He was almost the king's consort. In fact, kung nagkataon na itong Abishag na ito ay nagdalang tao, she could have given birth to possibly the next king. Ganun siya kahalaga kahit body warmer siya sa tingin natin. Kasi ang personal effects ng king are very exclusive to the king or to his successor. Kaya yung upuan ng hari, hindi inuupuan ng kahit sino yon, kahit na walang seremonya. Nung araw, sa mga matatandang pamilya, hindi ka nauupo sa upuan ng tatay mo. May upuan ng nanay mo, pamisa-misa nauupan mo, pero hindi pa rin dapat. Matitingnan ka ng matalim ng mga matatanda. Kung yung upuan ng lolo, nakaupo ka doon. Kanya yon. May ceremonial value yon. Ngayon, sa mga hari, ang kabayo nila, walang pwedeng sumakay dyan. Ang higaan nila, walang pwedeng humigang iba. ano pa yung babaeng kasiping niya ng ketagal-tagal, magiging asawa ng kung sino. Alam niyo ibig sabihin nun? What was this man Adonijah trying to do? He's trying to get associated with David's royal prerogatives. Because if you married your father's widow or your father's concubine, the royal image of your father transfers to you. So this Adonijah could style himself as David's successor because he succeeded in taking the woman. And therefore, he could threaten Solomon's reign. Yun ang nakataya. Sa tingin ng publiko, kung mapakasalan ni si Abishag nitong lalaking ito, itong lalaki na ito ang kapalit ni David. Ganun yun. At maaaring merong mag-support na naman sa kanya, i-declare na naman niya ang sarili niya na king. Uninformed, unsuspecting, and flattered pink, Bathsheba allowed herself to be the entry point of danger and threat into the very king's court. So Solomon defiantly, wisely rebukes his mother. May moral lesson. Take back a commitment given to you that you have given to undeserving causes. Nung maunawa mo ang buong istorya at yung buong kahulugan, you can take back your commitment. You can say it was given in bad faith or it was taken in bad faith and therefore, hindi ko yan itutuloy. It was a mistake. Hindi katulad ng isang tatay na pumunta sa giyera, nangako sa Diyos, papanalunin niyo lang po ako, pag-uwi ko, kung sino man ang unang sumalubong sa akin, kakatayin ko at iaalay ko sa inyo. Kasi sanay sila na pagka umuwi ang unang sumasalubong mga hayop. Kasi sa silong nila, nakatira yung mga hayop. Malayo pa lang sila, mag-uunahan yan, mga kambing, mga tupa sa pagsalubong. Ang nagkataon, ang lalaking ito, ang unang sumalubong, yung anak niya, kaisa-isa niyang anak na dalagita. Pero sabi niya, dahil nangako ako sa Diyos, therefore papatayin ko ang anak ko. At ginawa nga niya. Sa palagay niyo, natuwa ang Diyos? Hindi ka ba maunawaan ng Diyos na, ay Lord, joke lang po. Kasi hindi ko naman sukat na kalaing anak ko ang biglang susulpot. Huwag kayong mamatay, magpakamatay sa pagtupad ng isang pangakong pwede niyo naman bawiin dahil alam niyo, ang sama-sama pala ng magiging bunga. Kaya lang, hindi niyo basta-basta binabawi, lalo utang, bayaran niyo yun. Pero yung mga commitment, may lalaki nagsabi sa iyo, mamahalin mo ako buong buhay, nangako ka agad, hindi mo pala alam, may asawa. Siyempre, nung nalaman mo, pwede mong bawiin yung pangako mo. Because the promise was taken in bad faith. May nakakonceal na truth. We, the people of God, should live free lives. Hindi tayo alipin kahit na mga pangakong mali pala nating naibigay. Dapat mong palayain ang sarili mo. Kaya ang sabi sa Bible, kung ikaw ay naging guarantor ng sino mang nangutang, naku, huwag ka matulog, huwag ka magpahinga hanggang hindi mo nababawi ang pagiging guarantor mo. Bawiin mo yan dahil masusuong ka sa gulo. Maraming guarantor, sila ang nagbabayad tuloy ng utang na tinakbuhan nung nangutang. Baka po magalit sa akin yung nangungutang pag hindi ko ginarantihan. Magagalit ka naman sa kanya pag hindi siya nagbayad later. Magkakagalit din lang kayo bukas, ngayon na. Agahan mo na hindi ka pa napapahamak. So ano kaya nangyari sa nanay nito? Nabola, nasuhulan, pero hindi papayag si Solomon. 1 Kings 2, 23-25. I swear in the name of the Lord that Adonijah will die because he asked for this. Natatandaan nyo, pinapangako siya ni Adonijah na hindi niya papatayin yun, brother niya. Sabi niya, oo, if you don't cause trouble. Kung nangako lang siya ng oo, edi ngayon hindi niya mapapatay. Pero merong if and this Adonijah was obviously causing trouble. If he doesn't, I pray that God will severely punish me if he doesn't die. So, the Lord made me king in my father's place, and I promised that the kings of Israel would come from my family. I swear by the living Lord that Adonijah will die today. Benaiah, Solomon shouted, "Go, kill Adonijah." So Adonijah died. Huwag na natin isipin yung moralidad ng ginagawa nila. Ganun talaga yung mga royal family. Nag-uubusan ng mga threat. At saka talagang, yun ang gustong gawin ni Adonijah, agawin ang throne. Solomon remembered his father's advice. Punish the wicked. Eliminate threats. So what are some of the lessons on Davidic folly? Mga kabaliwan ni David? Pagkakamali, discipline your children. Ang yung mga sakop, dapat dinidisiplina. Hindi niya dinidisiplina itong anak na yon. Kaya tingnan nyo, walang katapusan ng paggawa ng problema. Pag no, dapat hard no. Because a soft no could be misread as a yes. Even a reluctant yes. Do not tolerate civic wrongdoing. Yung very public, very obvious, not to be tolerated. As Adonijah's supporters did initially. Do not be quick to honor power grabbers, credit grabbers, usurpers, pretenders. Mag-isip-isip kayo bago kayo kumampi kanino man, lalo't may maling ginagawa. And do not deodorize, do not support, legitimize an illegal or corrupt regime or a group or a cause. Pag alam niyong mali, medyo sa langit na buhay at gising, huwag kayong magsuporta ng mali. And then clearly identify and teach your son and your successor the things that he needs. Kailangan clear. Kung minsan may mga properties kayo, ang lusog-lusog nyo, but you don't know, suddenly bigla kayong kinuha ng Panginoon, dapat clear ang mga inheritance, may mga will kayo na iniiwan para hindi magkagulo ang mga kamag-anak na nag-aagawan sa mga bulok na piano, sa mga bungi-bunging plato. Kailangan malinaw ang pagkakahati-hati niyan. Especially kung meron kayong magkahiwalay kayong mag-asawa, iba na tong kasama mo, iba na yung kasama niya, nakakalito sa mga bata. Kung minsan ito pang kasama mo ang nakakakuha ng kayamanan ng asawa, hindi yung mga anak. Dapat malinaw yan. Put your house in order. Especially if you're already old or unstable. What are some of the lessons on Solomonic wisdom? Listen well to your parents' advice. Iba pa rin talaga yung experience. Obey wise advice, like David's advice. Reject foolish advice, like Bathsheba's advice. Hindi ko mo nanay o tatay, tama ang advice, tama ang hiling. Solomon rejected the wrong advice, the wrong request. You may do that. Our human relationships will be subordinated to truth. Kung ano yung totoo, kung ano yung mabuti, yun ang dapat manaig. Do not grant unwise requests, even if such came from your mother, or father, or brother, or husband, or whoever. Wrong is wrong, wherever it comes from. So parents, family, and friends, protect your relative, the king, the leader, the official. Huwag kayong magpasikat sa mga tagalabas, tapos ang nagbabayad, ang nasa-sacrifice, itong kamag-anak niyong nagsika para sumikat o yumaman o magkaroon ng impluensya. Refuse to be used by malicious people. Do not be an access to the king, to the leader, to the official, and then benefit those who have nothing to do with this hard work. Do not be a source of information and leaks. Meron kang kamag-anak na sikat, makapangyarihan, mag-ingat ka sa mga ikinukwento mo tungkol sa kanya sa ibang tao. Kasi makukot ka. Kailangan protective. And another lesson, of course, is to promote and exercise justice. In the family, reward the good, punish the bad. Hindi yung pinaparusahan ninyo yung masisipag, naghahanap buhay, nagpapakatino, paparusahan nyo sila, lagi nyong hihingan, laging didilihensyahan para ibigay sa mga tamad, sa mga walang hanap buhay, sa mga walang ambisyon. Kawawa yung mga kapatid na matitino, yun ang laging hinihinga ng magulang para ibigay doon sa mga hindi matitino. It's not wrong. It's not right. It's wrong. It's unjust to punish the good by making them give more and reward the bad by giving them what they want but they don't work for. Pagka hindi umiiral ang katarungan sa pamilya, magkakagulo. Magkakaroon ng mga hidwaan, yung saya mawawala, at mga awayan ang magaganap. There is so much to learn from this family, and we will continue to look at their lives and then learn from them. Dear God, we ask you, teach us how to apply to our lives today wisdom that could be gleaned from the lives of those who lived long ago, especially those people that you favored, people that you taught and raised up to become great men and women. Turuan mo kami, Panginoon, na matuto sa mga ganitong kasaysayan at i-apply ito sa buhay namin, not only in our family, but also in our community, in our church, in our nation, in the world. At nawa, Panginoon, madakila kayo kung makikita nyo ang inyong katarungan, katotohanan, ang siyang nananaig sa aming mga buhay. Let us reflect on the messages of this beautiful story. Pagbulay-bulayan natin sumandali kung ano ang connection nito sa buhay natin, and let us learn from David and Solomon, Bathsheba, and everyone else.
Ang katatapos pong mensahe ni Kuya Ed Lapis ay pinamagatang All in the Family.
Wagas niyong pagtingin, ang iyong pagmamahal, sadyang walang hadlang, wala sa kalagayan at katayuan. Sa tuwing nanananglahay at sa tuwing magkamali, walang hanggang pagpapatawad niyo sa'kin. Di may hahambing pag-ibig niyo sa'kin. Di may haling tulad ang wagas niyong pagtingin, ang iyong pagmamahal, sadyang walang hadlang, wala sa kalagayan at katayuan. Hawak sa tuwing nananamlay at sa tuwing magkamali, walang hanggang pagpapatawad niyo sa'kin. Sadyang di mapigil ang kabutihan niyo, kahit tumigil pag-ikot ng mundo. Sa'king kahinaan di magbabago, pag-ibig niyo sa'kin laging naririto. Hawak niyo aking kamay sa tuwing nananamlay at sa tuwing magkamali, walang hanggang pagpapatawad niyo sa'kin. Hawak niyo aking kamay sa tuwing nananamlay at sa tuwing magkamali, walang hanggang pagpapatawad niyo sa'kin. Walang hanggang pagpapatawad niyo
Bakit matamis ang spaghetti ng Pilipino?
Yung spaghetti naman talaga, maasim yan eh. Sinisikmura naman ang Pilipino kung kakain nun. So anong gagawin niya sa spaghetti? Tatamisan niya, ibabagay niya sa kanyang panglasa. Akala ng mga tao, westernized ang Pilipinas. No. Westernization is just a thin veneer. When you scratch on that very thin surface, you will find the indigenous Filipino alive and kicking. Tulad ng spaghetti. Iniiba natin ang mga dumarating, pinababagay natin sa ating panlasa, and it is a tool to survive. And sometimes not only to survive, but also to prevail. So, gusto nating matamis ang spaghetti, tamisan, Pinoy eh.
Oras na po para pansamantalang magpaalam ang programang Day by Day. Tayo po'y magsama-sama tuwing ika-6 hanggang ika-7 ng umaga, araw-araw. Magandang umaga po at mabuhay ang Panginoong Hesus!